Hey, welcome to Socialism for All. Today's date is January 3rd, 2021, and meet the new Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi. She is 80 years old. A Politico poll from December showed that a majority of Americans do not approve of her leadership of Congress, 56%. There recently was a campaign launched by YouTube left-wing comedian Jimmy Dore to hashtag force the vote. Basically, if AOC and the other people in the squad would threaten Pelosi with withholding their votes, it could basically they would use that as leverage to get a vote on Medicare for all. After all, we're in a pandemic. The U.S. is one of the only countries in the at all developed world that doesn't have universal health care. And the idea being we're in a fucking pandemic. We have barely had any aid, and then on top of it, we don't have universal health care. The idea was to withhold support from Pelosi as House Speaker in order to, basically trade it, use that leverage to get a vote on Medicare for all. Whether it passed or not, this would advance the struggle for Medicare for all. In Canada, before they got universal health care, I believe they had to send it to Congress like 22 times. It got voted down like over 20 times before they finally got it. You got to fight for this thing. You hold the vote, you see who supported it, who didn't, and you keep hammering, and you do what you can do. In the meantime, we as socialists agitate in terms of the deficiencies of the system and why we need to end capitalism. And it just would open up a whole new host of conversations. A whole new line of conversation would become possible and relevant. So I guess the only thing here, in the final vote, Pelosi was elected 216 to 208. She got the support of AOC and the squad. Two Democrats voted for other candidates. Connor Lamb of Pennsylvania voted for Hakeem Jeffries, and Jared Golden of Maryland voted for Tammy Duckworth. There were also two Democrats, Abigail Spanberger of Virginia, three, not two, Alyssa Slotkin and Mickey Sherrill all voted present. So basically everybody rallied behind Pelosi, and Pelosi's back in. No word on a Medicare for all vote. As far as I can tell, they're going to vote on $2,000 survival checks tomorrow, the 4th. We had a moment of leverage. This election, of course, for House Speaker isn't coming up again anytime soon. Pelosi is very old. She's 80. She may not run again. Can we wait another year to have the first vote on this? How much longer are we going to tolerate the system? That's all I can really say. The U.S. government's handling of the pandemic, like their handling of practically everything else, has been horrendous and outrageous. I don't know what else to say. Force the vote, that campaign, hashtag force the vote, was very popular. It was reaching tens of thousands of people on Twitter the last few weeks. Jimmy Dore was trending for, like days and days on end. It was a great discussion. Lots of people outed themselves as being more willing to defend the Democratic Party than to fight for health care for working class people in the United States, a country where, the bronze tier, Obamacare, the, current plan that the U.S. has three tiers: gold, which is basically unaffordable; silver, which is still pretty unaffordable, does offer relatively decent coverage, like you'll pay $400 or $500 a month and get a $2,000 or $3,000 deductible. And then there is the bronze tier, where you'll pay $100 or $200 a month and have an $8,000 deductible. So I would call it catastrophic health insurance, except, I don't know, getting a bill for eight or $10,000 is still pretty fucking catastrophic. It might not be 30 or 40,000, but for the 2/3 of Americans who live paycheck to paycheck, $8,000 is not exactly a good deal either. So that's the situation that we have. AOC folded. Go over to Jimmy Dore's channel if you want some pretty thorough documentation of the blow-by-blow. Every few days there was some new event in this dialogue that unfolded. It's sad to see. I don't know what else I expected. I didn't really expect anything else. At most I would have expected at least one of the squad to have supported this at most, just so that they could say that somebody did. But they didn't even try to do that. And actually DSA, Jimmy Dore had on his show, this guy from DSA. And let me just say, I have technically paid dues to DSA the last few years. I went to one meeting. I found it was way too many liberals, at least in my local chapter. I never really got involved. They endorsed Democratic Party candidates. I can't get on board with that at all. I won't be renewing my dues this year. And that whole organization, it was like they were trying to say, well, force the vote. It's a dangerous strategy. I don't know if we should do it. And then even if we did want to do a force the vote strategy, like withhold support from Pelosi in exchange for some demand, should it be Medicare for all? And it's like, well, I don't know, but you guys were set up years ago, after the Bernie campaign in 2015, 2016, like, what's your plan? And actually people found, they looked through the DSA strategy guide. And from 2019, they supported a force the vote. Jimmy Dore pulled this out of his ass. Turns out DSA, this was their, trying to force a House vote, even if it failed. That was their strategy in 2019. And then as soon as Jimmy Dore says, hey, let's actually do it, everybody scatters. And then the ones who don't scatter actually start counterattacking. The Young Turks, of course, the home of progressives, air quotes. No, the home of defending the Democratic Party and trying to put a progressive veneer on the Democratic Party that ultimately will take your movement, corral it, strangle it, and then hide your body. That's what the Democratic Party will do. Socialists need to completely break with the Democratic Party, organize independently for both non-electoral and some electoral work. This has always been even a revolutionary socialist strategy, is you do primarily non-electoral work, you run some candidates for exposure and to do what you can. I mean, you can debate whether it gives legitimacy to the system to even run a candidate when, it's just a protest and you're going to get 1 or 2% of the vote. In most places, I don't know. I think running green candidates is a decent strategy on a local level, at least. Done videos on that in the past. But yeah, I'm no longer DSA at all. I mean, I was DSA in name only for several years. I won't even be paying dues again. And I don't know, unfortunately, force the vote is tied with the movement for a People's Party. I don't think that that's a very promising movement, to be honest. I don't see how it's going to not have all the difficulties that the Green Party has already been facing for decades. So, and I don't blame the Green Party for that. Although you hear a lot of MPP people saying, oh, well, the Green Party is, they don't have good organizers or whatever. And it's like, they ran Sherry Honkala as vice president. She's been involved with the anti-poverty movements, I think in Philadelphia, for a long time. I mean, she's like a hardcore, on the ground organizer. So to say that they don't have good organizers is just bullshit. I mean, the problem is that we live in a very repressive system. I think the Green Party is already doing a lot of the stuff that any left party should be doing. They might not be Marxist-Leninist, but they do a lot of activism, a lot of non-electoral work, and they also run candidates for exposure. I just don't see how MPP is going to be different this time. And in a sense, you're almost splitting the left that way. And according to Howie Hawkins, even beyond all this, he had Movement for a People's Party tell him they thought the Green Party was too far left. What? So anyway, so that, here lies hashtag force the vote. I supported it. hats off to everyone who promoted this on Twitter. I think that we had a good, and elsewhere, I guess, if it was going on elsewhere. I think that it was a good discussion. It made a lot of people decide which side they were on. And this was an elementary question. I mean, again, this is elementary. We have AOC saying, actually, I don't have the statement here, but AOC and Jamaal Bowman, who is a new member just elected to Congress, he made a statement there's so much instability in the country and we need stability right now. Well, how is voting for Nancy Pelosi a vote for stability, really? I mean, we have no stability in the country, in part because she's been blocking aid for months. She won't bring Medicare for all to a vote. They keep voting for war after war after war, which destabilizes the whole world, including the United States. How is this stability? So these are your fucking Democrats. Dem exit right now. This is the major task for the left. Until we rebuild something like the Bernie movement outside the Democratic Party and make it as militant as we possibly can, I just don't see, the cause of socialism advancing that far. Because you try to build in the Democratic Party, they will strangle it, they will suffocate it, and they'll hide the body and act like nothing happened. And any organization that is still endorsing Democratic Party candidates, call them out, change it if you can, oppose it. But it's not looking good for DSA, the squad, and all that other stuff. And again, this is a decision point, as I've said in past videos, for which side are you on? And we in the independent socialist left, or, aligned with the Green Party or PSL or whatever you're aligned with, that is not a bourgeois party like the Democratic Party. We have to keep holding the line and pulling non-aligned people towards us. It's probably going to be easier to radicalize non-aligned people than it will be Democrats. I mean, rural Republicans are probably easier to radicalize at this point than, people drinking the Democratic Party Kool-Aid. So I was going to say be very skeptical of organizations endorsing the Democratic Party or trying to, air quotes, use the Democratic Party ballot line. No, you don't change them. They change you. You work in their party and you play by their rules. We can't afford to do that. I hope I don't keep making videos with the same point 5 years from now. I hope that we can learn the lesson and just move on. I'm going to leave it there. Thanks to our current patrons whose names are on the screen. If you want to support this show, patreon.com/socialism for all. You can support for as few as $2 a month or as many as 200. You can also follow us, facebook.com/socialism, the number for all, here on YouTube. Make sure to hit the like, share, subscribe, notifications bell. Leave a comment if you like, even if it's just something simple like good video. Helps to boost this channel in the algorithm. Of course, if you're active elsewhere on social media, Discord, Reddit, etc., please share the videos, and we'll catch you in the next one.